Welcome back to Saber Sports. I'm Simone Steffen, here with Jonathan Ward, Jay Will, and Keith Norris Jr. at the desk. The New York Giants have the third overall pick in this year's NFL draft. They also signed quarterback Russell Wilson and James Winston to one-year deals. Do you think they should take another swing at a quarterback with the third pick?
Yes, this is easy. I think the New York Giants should select Cam Ward. The Giants have not had a decent quarterback since Eli Manning. Daniel Jones was a bluff. I was never sold on him when he came to the league. Still not sold on him. I think this is a must because they just need a fresh start. You know how an organization needs just life? I feel like the Giants right now are dead. If they get Cam Ward, it's a fresh start. It's a long-term solution. You have a guy that's a gunslinger. You have somebody in Malik Neighbors as a wide receiver who was complaining about the ball last year. With Cam Ward, that problem does not exist anymore because Cam Ward is gonna take that risk and is gonna able to throw him the ball, which can help the Giants. So I'm definitely gonna go with Cam Ward on this one.
But the question is, do you think Cam will still be available? Tennessee has been pushing hard. They came down to Miami, private workouts. They've been training him. I don't believe he's going to be available. What I believe the Giants should do, if Shedeur is still available, they should go get Shedeur.
Why Shedeur instead of Cam?
I'm going to say this.
Okay.
Because is Cam going to be available? They saying Cam is going off the board. And I'm going to say this.
He possibly might. You don't know until
you don't know. But I'm going to say for the Giants, Shedeur will be good for New York. And the reason why I say that, Shedeur knows how to play. I'm not saying this is ideal or perfect. Forget the limelight. He know how to play without an offensive lineman. He know he's a polished type of guy. Unless they see Arch Manning in the next year's draft, a better prospect than Shedeur, I believe they have to go get Shedeur. There's no other choice unless you see Arch being a better prospect.
Right, and I like that. I'm not mad at that, but I just feel like Cam will be a better fit for the Giants because you have a guy. I look at Malik Neighbors, an explosive wide receiver who's young, who's talented. I think that he gives the Giants some life. Now, if you bring Cam Ward around, like I said, he's gonna be able to throw the ball.
You like for the duo.
So I like that as a duo. So that's why I say go get Cam Ward.
No, yeah, I mean, I kind of going off what you were saying, Keith. I think people are putting Arch Manning into that conversation. I think Arch Manning is going to be – it's a great chance he's going to be the top quarterback coming in next year's draft. But I think the biggest question that you got to ask if you're the New York Giants is, do you want success now or are you going to continue to be a bottom feeder as far as the NFC East goes? The reality of it is, you have to go now. And that's the thing. The reality of it is Philadelphia is coming off a Super Bowl championship.
Right.
You got the Commanders. They're young. You got one of the top quarterbacks in the league, Jaden Daniels. He's young. You just added one of the best offensive tackles in the NFL. And I think, you beefed with the defense. This is a good conference that, in the past we haven't seen the NFC East been as well as they have been, but they're really good this year. I think the reality of it is that you have to realize I love Jameis Winston. I think what he can do and what he can bring, the leadership that he can bring to the team, it's something that's undeniable.
Because it's pregame?
That is a real conversation. That is a real conversation.
No, talk about it.
That's a real conversation. I feel like Jameis Winston, he's the guy that, when you look at, there's great backup quarterbacks in the league. There's great guys that just locker room guys. Teddy Bridgewater. I think the guys that you want to have in there. I like the Jameis Winston move, but I don't think he's necessarily the answer. I don't think he's going to be the guy.
That's why you need a quarterback.
Yeah, that's it. You need a quarterback. Personally, I think if Cam Ward's available, you got to go for him. If not, Shedeur Sanders, I feel like it's either one of those two. But at the same time, I feel like I saw a lot of people giving kind of hate as far as this Jameis Winston signing. But I think you get either Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, a young quarterback in there, mentored around him. Jameis Winston, he's going to provide a lot of just mentorship, what he can do, what he can provide for their team is something that will be undeniable. So honestly, like I said, I just didn't like a lot of people's reaction towards that Jameis Winston signing, but I think you definitely got to go Cam or Shedeur. Personally, I'll take Cam.
I get it. Not even to cut you off. We only bringing up Jameis Winston. We forgetting the one-year contract by Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson won't get time.
And forget the time. We only talking about time. Let's talk about experience. That cannot be taught. You can't. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying Shedeur, Cam Ward, whoever gets to go into that quarterback room gets to learn from a Super Bowl champion, a national champion. You know what I'm saying? They get to learn from two great guys who have been in this league for years. Right. I don't care if you're a backup or a starter. To be in the NFL for that many years, you got to be. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. Yeah. I get what both of y'all are saying. You guys are not wrong, but I'm looking at this right. The Giants are a franchise right now that they need some oomph. Yeah. And we know what oomph means as being athletes. We need something that will, granted we can galvanize the troops, but we just need a breath air. And I feel like, granted, you have Russell Wilson. Yeah, he's a good guy. They're amazing in the locker room. But come on, y'all. Like, I want something new. I'm not calling them old school players, but their time is essentially over in a sense. Let the young guys, let's see what they can do. You bring in a guy like Cam Ward. Okay. Let's see what you can do in training camp, and we'll possibly give you the start. With Russell Wilson, he's just there for mentorship. Jameis Winston could be
needed.
I don't want him to start. I don't want him to get time.
Especially for a rookie quarterback.
Have Cam Ward and have Jameis Winston as the backup, and then have Russell Wilson as obviously the third string and be the mentor guy. Jameis Winston can do the same thing, but it's time to give these new guys a chance because ultimately, Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston only have a couple years left. You got to, in order to get experience, you have to see the field. You have to experience ups and downs, and that's my thing.
Do you think with them giving Russ and Jameis both 1-2 year contracts?
It's conditional.
Yeah, and they still paying them. You don't think they should let the quarterbacks wait? The rookies, I feel like we push the rookies to come in so soon and produce. It takes time to really learn and develop.
You're right.
Especially two guys who they aren't the best two polished quarterbacks of all time. They both had their own errors and
you're
issues.
saying let them sit. How many years are we gonna let them wait?
No, I'm not saying listen. It's only a 1 year contract.
1 year contract. So
you can let a rookie sit for 1 year.
2, but that's.
I'm not saying
time.
entire game. He can play. He can play 4 or 5 games. He can play a few games. I feel like we allow quarterbacks to go in and win us 15 games the first. Like that's tough.
No, I don't expect it. This is my expectation for Cam Ward, right? He's a great quarterback, like we said.
Yep.
If you can get us 8 wins, I'm okay with that because it shows your development. But in order to win those 8 games, you have to be put out on the field.
True.
So my thing is, throw him into the fire early. Let him get under that feet. Let him experience some ups and downs. Let him go through the ins and outs of a football game. Let him understand the defense. Then we can decide. Okay, sit down real quick.
And but piggyback off of that,
you gotta look too. But say go as far as that 8 wins. Do you trust rookie Cam Ward to get you 8 wins more, or Russell Wilson to get you more 8 wins?
Yes, I think I do. You know why? Right now, because number one, they don't have NFL film on him yet, so they can't key on him yet. 2, he's younger. 3, he goes for it. He'll throw the ball. He'll create with his feet. Russell can do that, but it's not the same like he used to do because he's not as young anymore. So I do trust Cam Ward right now in regards to making a play and getting them some wins because he's young.
Now I'm gonna give it to rookie camp and when he come in for training camp to see how the development and everything is going. But just to go off of that, the Giants have to live in the present and get something now and don't live in the future.
I'm gonna end it with this, right? Cam Ward is the way to go because of his youth. They need experience. I mean, not experience. They need somebody that's new, somebody that's gonna bring a different set of aura to the team because that's what the Giants need. They need a new set of aura. It's not Eli Manning's team no more. It's a different chance. Yeah. It's a different time. So if they can draft, the Giants can draft Cam Ward. The aura is definitely high for the Giants right now.
Perfect. We've got March Madness to discuss when we come back. Projected number 1 pick, Duke forward Cooper Flagg has been exceptional this NCAA season. Where does Cooper rank among Duke legends all time? Can he be argued as a top 5 Blue Devil?
Yeah, Simone, I think you got to look at this argument and say, first off, on a tremendous season. ACC Player of the Year, Naismith Player of the Year, he averaged 19, 7, and 4 this year, just under 50% from the field. I think week in and week out, Cooper Flagg proved and showed why he was the best player in college basketball. So, first I got to give him his credits as far as that goes. I think when you look at the great Duke Blue Devils of all time, the top guys, I'm thinking Christian Laettner, J.J. Redick's, Grant Hills, Carlos Boozer. These are guys that were at Duke for 4 years. These are guys that dominated their program, dominated college basketball. You look at Final Fours, multiple National Player of the Years, Natties. These guys have it all when it comes to that, collection as far as it looks from that. I think that part of it is what college basketball is right now. It's not what it was back then, especially from one and done, and now with NIL, transfer portal, whatever it is. You got guys that aren't at programs for 4 years anymore, that aren't there for a long time. So it's harder to have a legacy in a sense of, I think, top 5, when it comes to teams or when it comes to this argument for Cooper Flagg. And the thing about it is, I think when you stack him up against those guys as a Duke Blue Devil top 5, I think there's too many guys that you can put ahead of him in that conversation. I think you can maybe make the argument Cooper Flagg is a top 5 basketball player to come through Duke, but is he a top 5 Blue Devil? I don't know if I can agree with that. Right. I think when you look at as far as this, even stack him up against the one-and-done guys, you look at Zion Williamson, Paolo Banchero, Jason Tatum, Brandon Ingram, you put all those guys into one category. These are guys that didn't get a national championship. And the reality was, I think that Cooper Flagg had to go into the season and say, if I want to be a top 5 Duke Blue Devil of all time, I got to do what we haven't been able to do since 2015, and that's win a national championship. And the reality is he didn't get it done. And I think that because of that, there's too many guys that you can just put ahead of him in that conversation, guys that were at Duke for a long time. And even, I mean, when you look at the one-and-done guys or guys that weren't at Duke for a long time, like who's to say he was better than Zion Williamson or Paolo or Jason Tatum, whatever. Like who's to say he was better? So because of that, I don't think you can put Cooper Flagg in that top 5 Duke argument.
This is interesting. This is an interesting topic because I wrestled with this for a minute. Now, it's unfortunate, but it's real. I thought we weren't going to agree, but we agreed. Cooper Flagg is not an all-time Duke Blue Devil. And I look at, and you mentioned the impact, right?
Yeah.
Impact is key. Impact is what do you do? How do you change the program? How do you galvanize the troops? Granted, he's done that for a season, but you have to look at like a Christian Laettner, a Grant Hill who have over 115 career starts, a national championship, a guy in Jay Williams who's won National Player of the Year and a championship, who's done it for some time. That's very important when I think of all time. When you think of all time, you think of what you've done in a body of work. Cooper Flagg is amazing. We get it. He's putting up these amazing numbers. You know, he's leading on the offensive side and defensive side, but he's only done it for a season. Now, I'm not taking that away from him because obviously the times have changed, right? You know, in the 90s, people would stay for 4 years. And now in NIL, you know, people are gone in 1 year, one and done players. Like the top guys are always going one and done. They never stay. So I can't fault him for that. So right now, no, he's not an all-time Blue Devil.
And I'll say this, I agree with both of y'all. And the reason why I agree is, yes, he's a credible player, exceptional. But my thing is, with the one and done, I love it because it's resourceful. You know, I'm all about getting your money. Go get your money for all the young players. But the thing is, when you say all time, I feel as though if you didn't go through the school, through the journey from freshman year to senior, even possibly freshman to junior, and even graduate, I don't think you can even be called all time if you didn't even graduate from the school.
Right.
Because you really just went there. Anybody can go anywhere and just claim the school out. So I don't put him in the category just for being one and done. But I will give him this for the benefit of the doubt. I believe one and done seasons, he could be put in the top 5. Because if you look at it,
for sure,
one and done, he can absolutely be put in the top 5. There's a lot of guys who's in that list. You know, I'll probably put Zion over him. You got Marvin Bagley was a guy when he was there. There's a couple other guys, but that's the only category I'll put him ever all time in, one and done.
I like that, and I agree with you there. You know, if we're gonna look at one and done, he could possibly be up there because. Y'all realize he had 30 points in an NCAA game? Like, that hasn't happened for Duke in a while. He might be only the first one. So you have to look at that one and done. Compared to one and done, yes, but all time, like, you got to at least put in some work from freshman year to your junior year at least. He's only doing it for the season. Like, when he came into college, he knew he was only staying 1 year. So that should already, like, take him out of the conversation of, okay, is he an all-time for Duke? Which the answer is no. So,
which I think the stigma, though, too, that I think this is the thing that people also have to realize is Duke. There's this thing where Duke has had multiple of the top recruiting classes in the country the last couple of years, the last decade, whatever it's been. And the reality is, like I said, they haven't won a national championship since 2015. I don't think it's crazy. I might get pushback for this to say, but I think if Cooper Flagg and Duke had won the national championship this year, I don't think it would be crazy to put him in that top 5 argument because
it wouldn't because he would have got
legacy.
Exactly, he would have got. See, think about it. Like I know there's a. If so, right? So if they would have won the championship, cool. He's their 1A guy. And if he gets Player of the Year, that you already in that conversation because you can already put your name with Jay Williams because he's done that before. Nothing beats winning. So because they didn't get it done and he's gone after this year, then he can no longer be in the conversation of all-time Duke.
That's it. I agree.
Especially with the names John brought up. He brought up some great names. The Grant Hills, the Christian Laettners, the J.J. Reddicks. It's plenty. Shane Battier.
Hey, we forgot about him. Shane Battier.
He won in 2001, I believe, with Carlos Boozer. So, you know, it's hard to – you can have a great season, but you can't take away that championship. And a lot of Blue Devils have that championship that Cooper Flagg just doesn't have.
And it's also respecting the legacy for those who came before you. You know how people say respect your elders? Like, respect the people that came before you. We saw these guys in Jay Williams, I'm going to say it again, Jay Williams, Shane Battier, who have done the work, who have got things accomplished. Cooper Flagg has got things accomplished, but he's on his way out. So you have to look at that as a Duke fan, as a Duke basketball, mind.
No, definitely, yeah. And that's the thing, I mean, you look, like I said, I think part of what makes legacy, people talk about Christian Laettner being one of the most hated players, or people hating J.J. Redick or John Shire, all these guys. I think part of why these guys were hated were because just year in and year out, people had to deal with Christian Laettner for 4 years, back to back to back to back. Like, you don't see that anymore. Like, that's the thing about college basketball. And I think that's part of why it's just, you can't put him in that top 5 argument, Cooper Flagg.
Yeah, and that's absolutely agreeable, because when you look at it, people are like, nowadays it's, all right, he's here for this season, he's gone. Back then, you knew guys were coming back. You even possibly knew if he was a guy his freshman and sophomore year, it's like, man, this guy got 3 more years.
Right.
Now it's he's out here, it's good. No more Cooper Flagg, and I believe that's what builds a legacy.
It's funny they talk about him more in the NBA than college. Like, they're already like when he came in, there was never what can you do for Duke. It's like, what can you do for the NBA? So already right there, it's like, okay, let's transition to the NBA. Let's not even focus on what he's gonna do as an all-time, Blue Devil. But solid for sure, though.
Exactly. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll discuss who's better, Juju Watkins or Paige Bueckers. Juju Watkins and Paige Bueckers were 2 of the brightest stars in women's college basketball this season. If you were a WNBA general manager, who would you rather have?
Yeah, I think, when you look at this argument, I think, no question, Juju and Paige are the top 2 women's college basketball players in the country. I think they've shown it week in and week out. They performed throughout the season in the tournament, even though I know Juju's tournament was cut a little bit short. I think these are definitely the 2 best prospects as far as, when you're looking at general manager. I do like the ability that Juju shows as far as her ability to make plays, her ability to score. I think she's honestly a better scorer than Paige, average more points. I think she can get to the hoop. In that sense, I like her a little bit better than Paige, but when you look at the overall prospect, I think Paige averaged 25 and 5 this year. She had put good points up. She averaged 35 in a 3-game stretch in the NCAA tournament. I feel like when you make this comparison, it's more so a thing of maybe is Juju the better scorer than Paige, but I think Paige has proven that she can score the ball well, especially going throughout the tournament. Also important to remember, Juju is coming off the ACL tear. Prayers up to her during her recovery, but that's something that you do have to keep in mind. You don't know how different her play style game is going to be when she comes back, so that's another thing to keep in mind. The only thing that I can maybe see that might be a little bit of an issue is just there have been rumors that the Dallas Wings, who have the #1 pick, Paige isn't necessarily too thrilled about playing with the organization. Don't know how true that is. That's the only thing that I could see keeps Paige from being the first overall pick in this WNBA draft. But with that said, I still think Paige is the better overall prospect just because of what she brings more so around her ability to pass, her ability to score. She can do it all.
Now, Paige is a star in her own right. Don't get me wrong. But when you talk about who would you rather have, we talking singular players.
Right.
Paige has a great team around her.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. She has some great players. And AZ, she has Sarah. Sarah Strong showed off.
Yeah.
So I will say this. I'm going with Juju. Everything Paige can do, Juju can do, and even better. She's bigger, great 3-level scorer.
You better preach.
Which, don't get me wrong, and she defends. Yeah. She defends. Both can defend, but she defends.
Yeah.
So when we talk about she can do everything for you, she can pass, she can rebound. This is a taller, bigger guard, and she can play almost all of it. Yeah. So I have to go with Juju, and I don't know, John, because I get what you're saying about Paige, but Juju has another year. And if we talking about injuries, Paige also got injured as well. So I feel like Juju will bounce back and it will be okay.
This is an amazing topic, and when we got this, all I could do was just smile because it's like we're talking about 2 of the greatest women basketball players that will ever play the game. They're both dominant in their respective fields. But Keith Norris Jr., you were preaching the gospel there. I have to agree with you, Juju, and I like Juju because #1. She's dominant on both ends.
Yes.
When we talk about a WNBA player, we're talking about a polished WNBA player that, could possibly do it on both ends at a high level. She's explosive. She can get to her spots. She dominates on both sides of the court. That is special for me. I feel like, like you said, Keith, Paige Bueckers is, 6 feet, but Juju's about 6'3", so a little taller. So, a little more advantage. Not crazy, but
definitely.
that's something to look at. Guys, we forget to realize, Juju is only about to be a junior.
Yes, it's younger.
So she's younger.
And on a less stacked team.
On a less stacked team, so she has to do a little bit more. Yes. So now, granted, she just got hurt. Our prayers up to her, but I feel like her senior year is going to be special because it's going to make her get to her spots because she was injured before. Yeah. And she's going to learn the game from a different lens and become smarter. Yeah. Granted, we can look at experience. Yeah, Paige Bueckers has more experience because she's older. We can't teach age. We can't have nothing to do with that. But if I had to choose, I would choose Juju because number one, obviously more explosive, and she's a streaky scorer. Like she can go get you 40 if you need it. Paige, I don't think can do that. So I'm going to go with Juju for sure.
Well, I mean, the thing about it, I think, Paige, that's the thing. Everybody says that she can't score, but she did have that stretch. Like I said, she was averaging 35 a game in the tournament. Her ability to score, I think even, too, people also have to look, her experience, like I said, I think that is going to play a little bit more factor. Like I said, Juju does have another year, but I think from a standpoint, Paige is hurt. She's been in the game. She's been a little bit longer. And I think, from a standpoint of just looking at the culture, she's played one of the greatest coaches in American sports. I think being part of that, if I'm a WNBA general manager and I want somebody that's good, I want somebody that's going to bring the winning culture to my program, I want to get somebody that's been part of that has played under the best.
And to your point, I can understand that because I'll say this. It depends on what you want to get. Yeah. Do you want a big superstar who's going to go in there, win you games, score? Because Paige, she can play behind a great offense, and that's something she's good at. So if she gets in a great system, I do believe that she will be a great weapon. But I'm going to say that her leaving the college scene, we're not really missing anything. Look at who's still left. Sarah Strong is the big name now. So now we're not even going to be worrying about Paige because Juju is still going to be a big name this season, the next season. So I'm not tearing down Paige in any way. She will be great this year going on the draft. But what I'm saying is you wait another year, you're going to get a superstar out of Juju.
Right, yeah, who we choose. Granted, we're going to have to take Paige Bueckers right now because
she's coming out right now.
She's coming out right now. You're just going to wait till her senior year, of course. So that's really not a crazy question and answer. Yeah. But if I'm looking at it for the future, I'm going to go with consistency in both ends because I know what I'm going to get. In the WNBA, obviously, everybody's pretty good. Everybody's quick. Everybody's fast. So my question with Paige Bueckers is, are they going to expose her on the defensive end? And that could possibly be a weakness. Now, when Juju comes out, she can score, but you're not going to be able to just give her the business because she plays both ends of the ball. She's in the passing lanes. And another thing, which is very important, that we don't talk about enough, Juju's averaging 23.9 points, 7 rebounds. 7 rebounds? That's almost that's a double-double almost. So when you look at that, you have to realize she's gonna be able to score, but on the other end, she's gonna be able to get the ball herself. Nobody has she can create for herself. All they need to do is just pass her the ball. Once she gets the ball, she's able to do her magic. So I'm looking at that, and I like Juju.
Yeah, and I mean even I think you look at both of these players, and you said you look at their off production, what they've done. I think about Paige Bueckers. She and anybody that's kind of questioning, as far as whether she can come in, if she'll have issues stepping in. This is a girl who came in day one into college basketball, which averaging about 20 points a game. She has dominated every year. So you've done that for 4 years. I just don't think I can't see another reason as to why you wouldn't take her. That's personal. Right,
and I like Paige Bueckers again. I like her a lot, but I'm just looking at the overall of the player. Yeah, I like her. Yeah, cool. Scoring is great. She's able to give the ball to her teammates because she does have a dominant team. But I want to see how that translates to the WNBA because I think it's going to be special.
John, to your question, is experience the only key trait that you worry about in the players?
Because that's about age, too.
Yeah. I don't think it's necessarily the only trait, but I think it is an important trait. I think a lot of people don't understand when you have had those reps, even at the collegiate level, when you're playing against top competition every year. These are people that you're going to end up playing at the professional level. So when you've had the chance to play in a while, I think that you definitely have to take that into consideration a lot more than people think at times.
It's going to be interesting. I definitely can't wait to see both of these stars in the WNBA one day.
Definitely.
Perfect. That's all we have for this week's episode of Saber Sports. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you back here next week.